Hello everyone. Today I will like to discuss about the literature that is I think is very less discussed, that is known as Dalit literature, because I was also a student of literature in English particularly. But when I was a student of literature in my masters, I have I had known not a single thing about Dalit literature. So, as you know, if the literature is not in the syllabus, how could a student know about the literature, about the texts, that there are type of texts that are written by the authors who belong to the society that is marginal, that his state, or that the status of the society, the section of the society is diminished by the central society or the main society. So that's why I think I should talk about Dalit literature and its aesthetics. Its aesthetics and theory are quite different and distinct from the mainstream, or you can say Indian literature. So I would like to talk about first what is Dalit literature. Dalit literature, I think many scholars or many professors who teach in the universities, they know about it, but many students or uh, BA general students or master students, they have been studying in rural colleges or semi urban colleges, they don't know about that literature. So the literature is a sub part of Indian literature, because I am using sub part because it is not started by the very beginning or when the Indian literature has started. So the literature is a sub part of Indian literature. So it is a literature in which anger, revolt, or kind of protest against the system, against the society, that society who suppress a group of people, a large section of the society, in a very brutal way, who does not, the society does not allow to express the people who are known as Dalits in present times. So earlier or formerly they were known as untouchables. So Dalit literature is consists of real life experiences of humiliation and inferiorities faced by the untouchables or the Dalit writers, authors. They have faced such injustices, kind of injustices, insecurities, inferiorities, humiliations, disrespect, dishonor. So they, everything which whatever they have experienced, they have written in their stories, their narratives, their autobiographies. So Dalit literature is quite different from the main literature, which particularly asserts the identity, and along with assertion it negates the caste system. It tries to find the ways, or it tries to annihilate the caste system. How to annihilate, how to destroy the caste system. So that is why Dalit literature is very energetic or kind of activism, because it has sprung from cultural conflict between upper caste and lower caste. As you know, from the point of history, when early 20th century people started to concern about the Dalits or the rights, because few persons from the community, they started to started to advocate their rights. In the prominent persons, as you know, I think everyone knows about him, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. But that is not that was not sufficient, or that is kind of means in the part of literature that was very nominal. Literature could not be produced by those activist people. So literature, the in literature, the lives of Dalit people, their experiences, no found their proper place. So few progressive writers like Mulkraj Anand and in Hindi Premchand, they started to write about Dalits or untouchables. But their point of view is kind of different. They behave like a sympathizer. They had shown sympathy or pity over the pitiable and miserable conditions and circumstances of Dalits. So that's why people or Dalit activists or Dalit writers and authors, they criticize progressive writers that they misrepresented, or they have not taken the issue of Dalits properly or correctly or empathetically, and they accuse them that it is a kind of misrepresentation of Dalits, and they try to maintain the status quo. They haven't tried to destroy the system, just they try to maintain the status quo. So that's why. So always the debates around Dalit literature, or around Dalit literature, who could be called a Dalit author or Dalit writer, has been an issue in Indian literary criticism, because non-Dalit writers have not experienced those humiliations or caste discrimination in their life. So their point of view is different, and who are Dalit and they themselves write about their experiences, they will write from a different point of view. They have faced, they have confronted. So they do not want to maintain, keep the caste system, the status quo. They want to change the society. They want to see a social transformation in the Indian society. So that's why Dalit literature is quite different and distinct literature from the Indian literature. So when I come to the Dalit aesthetics and literature, because here what we have to understand, Dalit literature is a sub part of Indian literature. So here a comparative study is required, because to understand Dalit literature we have to make comparisons with Indian literature. Indian literature is a kind of literature who admires beauty, who appreciate beauty. Satyam Shivam Sundaram, I think you have heard about the slogan. So but Dalit literature is not all about beauty in that sense, but also it also admires beauty in freedom. Freedom is a concept that has aspect of beauty also, along with its political, economic, social aspect. As noted by Om Prakash Valmiki, Dalit literature is not art for art's sake. It is a literature of life, freedom, and it teaches to, or it is a desire to live life. So that's why it's a Dalit theorization of literature, and it is a changed notion of literature also, because the worldviews, the outlooks of the main or prominent Dalit or non-Dalit authors or critics or Indian authors, they have changed the language, the content, the structures, the style, everything has been changed by the Dalit authors, because they do not alone negate the caste system. They also bring in the self, the marginal self, to the center, whose voice has been depressed, suppressed, who are not given permission, kind of permission, or not allowed to express themselves unequivocally or expressively. So in Dalit literature, they try to express themselves, they assert their identity that we are also human beings, we too human beings. And Dalit literature, as Dalit critics always, non-Dalit critics, sorry, non-Dalit critics say that it is not literary, its language, its style, its content is unliterary, or means not literary in the true sense of the term of literary. But they say, or Dalit authors say, or critics say, it cannot be evaluated from the standards that have been set or established by the Indian critics. It is a kind of new literature, so that's why new approaches and new methods are necessary to evaluate Dalit literature. So in this context, San Kumar Limbale, who is a kind of authority in Dalit aesthetics, he has written a book in which he suggests new techniques, new approaches to evaluate Dalit literature, to study Dalit literature from a different point of view. And he observes that Dalit literature is all about representation of Dalit lives in a realistic mode. It is all about representation. You cannot say that this is not literature, because earlier Dalits were not considered as human beings, or they are below human beings, or they are below animals. So that's why Dalit literature is needed to be evaluated from a different approach, different yardsticks. And Dalit literature cannot be understood until we understand the sociological position of Dalits, because in society Dalits are marginal, they live on periphery, they are never allowed to enter or to become part of the center. However, fortunate enough, few people have able to get education, but they are very less, they are very few in comparison to their people, their ratio in the society. When Dalit literature is produced, so few major concerns are necessary in the mind of Dalit author. So Limbale have enumerated or enlisted all these things in his book Dalit Aesthetics, Consideration, History and Challenges of Dalit Literature. So I would like to quote the duties, I can say duties of a Dalit author. So first, I would like to tell about it is written up by the Shan Kumar Limbale, that literature of the exploited is primarily concerned with the search for freedom and giving expression to it. All aspects and dimensions of freedom are seen in it. We should remember that the imaginary or idea of freedom has an aesthetic aspect as much as it has political, economic, social and moral facets. The sentiment of freedom is present in Dalit literature not only as its life essence but also as beauty. The three values of life, equality, freedom, and solidarity, can be regarded as constituting the essence of beauty in Dalit literature. So, the aesthetics of Dalit literature rest on first, the artist's social commitment, second, the life affirming values present in the artistic creation, and third, the ability to raise the reader's consciousness of fundamental values like equality, freedom, justice, and fraternity. So, therefore, the Dalit aesthetics rest upon the author's social commitment. He or she cannot produce literature without a responsibility and onus. They have to write under that responsibility that we want to change the society. We envision or we imagine that society should be transformed by our creation. We want a casteless society. We want to destroy the caste system. So that is Dalit literature. When you read, you will find a lot of different things that this happens in our society, and people from Dalits, people from lower caste or ex-untouchables, they can relate themselves because they live that kind of life and they find their relation to that literature. Dalit authors write their very lived experiences, real life experiences, or that are genuine and authentic experiences in comparison to non-Dalit authors because they have not lived such type of life. They haven't confronted such type of humiliation that is faced by the Dalits, whether it is in the field of workers or in the means laborers. As laborers, the life of Dalits is very poor. You cannot say a single good thing about, I think, that about Dalit people because there are a lot of discrimination, a lot of exploitation, and in life in scarcity. Very rare things they have to fulfill their daily needs. But also in the good services also, after getting education, after the right to education, so they are being discriminated also in the higher educated platforms, or you can say organizations. There also they are being discriminated. So such is the literature that depicts, that portrays the lives of Dalits. So it demands a different kind of approach. And I would like to say that one author also, not an author, a critic, Ernest Fisher, also has written the purpose of literature that cannot be merely aesthetic, because we cannot only enjoy literature, it has a purpose. So Dalit literature is written purposefully. It has a purpose to destroy the caste system, to imagine, to envision social transformation, or to bring in the marginal self and that voice to the center that has been suppressed, that has been muted. So to understand Dalit literary activism, one has to situate Dalit writings in a historical context. The poetics and politics of Dalit writings ultimately are directed towards the question of how to annihilate caste. To achieve this, Dalit writers have to negotiate between political rhetoric and radical narratives. The political rhetoric is to bring an end to the everyday life of caste, and the radical alternative is to live in a casteless society. So then Dalit texts demand a complex reading and pedagogical approach. In simple words, we have to understand history of Dalits and social position, along with we have to put their writings in proper context. So that's all about Dalit literature today. And friends, I would like to thank you for listening me about Dalit literature also, and I would like to listen from you also, or I want feedback or comments. Please share, or please do comments. What do you think about the literature, or how you read it? Thank you.